I always remember Kelsey's hands. When Kelsey was a little girl, she would spend hours pretending that her hands were dinosaurs, and I was amazed at her imagination. These are the same hands that drew big hearts on cards saying, "I love you, Daddy." Hands that held mine on her way to school, grabbed my arm when we watched a scary movie, wrote amazing poetry, and are ones that shoplifted, wrote stolen checks, and pushed a needle in her arm. The last time I saw them, they were folded across her chest in a coffin. The solemn words that you just heard were written on the Facebook page of a nonprofit called Up Ministries by a local man who lost his daughter to addiction. These sorts of stories are becoming all too common in our community, sadly, as we face what Governor Walker called in his disaster declaration this February an opioid epidemic. The good news is that Up Ministries is making a difference by coordinating volunteers that reach out to those who are seeking recovery. There is not a single soul inside this room that doesn't want to make a difference, to leave the world a better place than when we came. Well, today I'm going to tell you about the extent of the opioid epidemic and the cost to our community. Then I'm going to tell you about Up Ministries, the work being done by volunteers on their 24-hour hotline, and how much your help is needed. Finally, I'm going to share with you the vision of Up Ministries, and you will hear about someone who recently reached out to them. But first, let's talk about addiction. Most, if not all of you, know that opiates are highly addictive, but did you know that about 1 in every 5 people who use opiates for more than 10 days in a row become long-term users? That's right. The Addiction Center, like other research groups, lists opiates as the most addictive substance on the planet, and this is due to the euphoric feeling it produces upon consumption and the excruciating pain experienced by a person who tries to quit cold turkey. According to the Center for Disease Control, providers wrote nearly 250 million opioid prescriptions in 2013. In a report published by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the social consequences of addiction, including poor health and disruptions in family, workplace, and educational environment, have a devastating impact on society and cost billions of dollars each year. Alaska is no exception from the devastation, and in February, Governor Walker declared a public health crisis to, quote, combat the state's opioid epidemic. In a state press release, the governor stated that this crisis has, quote, devastated too many Alaskan families. Families like that of Kelsey, whose father contacted the director of Up Ministries after his daughter's death, hoping to help make a difference. The director of Up Ministries is a recovering addict herself, who also lost a child that was addicted to opiates, and her team have dedicated their lives to reaching out to those recovering from addiction. Faith recovery, medical consultation, and peer support. This is a combination of services provided by Up Ministries. The goal of helping individuals to recover faith is approached with an attitude of inclusion, encouragement, compassion, and careful consideration of what it means to have a healthy spiritual well-being. Earlier this year, the Matsu Health Foundation distributed a grant to Up Ministries that allows them to offer modern technology called the Bridge device to people who are beginning in recovery. The purpose of the device, which fits onto a person's ear, is to relieve the symptoms of withdrawal so that people are free from the pain that can act as a barrier to seeking recovery. Finally, there is peer supporting. That is where you come in. Right now, as we are gathered here together, there's someone in this city that's feeling very, very alone. The euphoria of opiates is worn off, and they're realizing that their relationships are ruined, a job is probably lost, and life looks about as bright as a basement room on a rainy afternoon. But moments ago, this person may have been scrolling through Facebook and saw that Up Ministries has a 24-hour hotline for people who are hoping for recovery. It is in these moments that you are needed most. The organization transfers calls to volunteers because the people who call need to hear that someone cares. The motivation that you have to do something meaningful with your life, an addict feels like this is missing from their life. But that is a lie. These people have as much potential and purpose as the people in this room. And I believe that you can help them to see that truth. We don't want people like Kelsey to die from addiction. And I'm telling you right now that you can make a difference. Before I tell you about a person who's reached out to Up Ministries some time ago and got help, let's go over what we've covered. First, you heard from experts, and now you know that there's a need to help people find recovery. And I told you about the work being done by Up Ministries to reach out to those seeking recovery. Finally, you heard about what you can do to make a difference in the lives of people who call the organization's hotline. And remember, you answer calls on your time. In just a moment, I'm going to hand out some flyers with Up Ministries contact information. But first, I want to tell you a bit about Serena. Serena needed to hear about a way to make a change when she reached out to Up Ministries earlier this year. During an interview, she shared with me how she struggled to get off pain medication for over 4 years before she finally talked to a caring person, just like yourself, about the Bridge device. She is now free from pain medication, able to enjoy life as a young mother, and now reaches out to others who are struggling with addiction. Because Serena is in recovery, she has one daughter that's not going to be missed by her father. There are more who will be calling, and some of your time can make all the difference in their lives.